Hello and welcome back to Civ 6, playing as Teddy Roosevelt. So, I'm just coming back to this. What are we up to? Just finished feudalism. Let's just see here. So what are we doing right now, right? So, two things. Getting our theaters districts up and attacking Germany. Because like I said before, you need on Deity to use your military as an equalizer. So that's what we're going to do. We have this long dream of making it all the way to Russia in order to knock them down a peg, because right now they're basically monopolizing all the great people that we need. So we can't let that stand. We also just desperately need more territory, because the thing about Deity is you need like solid 9 cities or so. I would say 9 is a minimum number that you need to actually SimCity your way to a victory. It's all situational, it depends on the size, especially of the game. But anyway, one thing about cultural victory is once you get these policies that boost great artist and writer points, you want to leave those in pretty much the entire game. The same, you'll see later, goes for tourism boosting bonuses. So obviously the end here, like social media, but there's 2 more earlier. One here, cultural heritage, and there's another, can't remember where it is, comes from, it's for great works of music, I believe. We'll get to it sooner or later. Is it in one of these? It's there somewhere. There's 3 of them. For tourism. Anyway, back to business here. Keeping our scout XP. Sadly we lost Hillbilly. We now have a Johnny Appleseed with his plus 20, which is really nice. Anyway, so like a good tip is, like, if you don't super need any of these for economic policy, just your default should be urban planning, because it's always, production is the most important yield in the game, and it's always nice to have. But it is good to take your time. General strategy. I mean, I only have 1 campus, so this will give me plus 3 science. No holy science, obviously. You might be inclined to think, like, this would be your other default policy. And it can be. The thing is, I find that, once you get so Insulae, right? Go out of here. It pops up at, where the heck is it? Games and Rec. But the thing, by this point, you're not really often going to have plus 1 housing, 2 districts in any city except for capital. We currently have 3, but we also settled really late and like really worked on this nice food-heavy capital. So it's very large, actually, for this point in the game, which is nice for our situation. You still always want to go wide in Civ 6, but that is nice. But my point being, so we flip on, if we flipped on plus 1 housing, we'd only get it here. We wouldn't get it here for a while, and we wouldn't get it here for a while. I'm not sure if aqueducts count for that policy. Aqueducts, to my knowledge, do count for district adjacency bonuses. So like this theater square will have plus 1 because it's next to 2 districts. So city centers, which is a universal thing for all districts in the game, if they're next to 2 of any district, they always get plus 1 of their appropriate yield. And so the city center counts, and so does an aqueduct. By the way, I just think this the aqueduct is a particularly beautifully drawn tile, very quaint and scenic. This is quite a beautiful game. Unfortunately, I can't record on the highest settings. Speaking of which, we want to get this guy's beard back to normal. Still kind of icky. But anyway. What are we going to put here? So I want to finish my little spiel. So, like, this is a better policy than urban planning, +1 housing. So think of it this way. Your city, for the most part, I mean, we grew at max housing because there's so much food in the city. But for the most part, once you hit like one below, or max housing, you're going to stop growing in that city. So if let's say we were working all these tiles, right? And let's say we had one more mine that had like +3 production. So you can think of it this way. If I flip on one more housing, it'll grow very quickly because cities grow very fast in this game. So it'll grow very quickly and get us another population. So very quickly, once we flip on +1 housing, we'll get another pop that'll go onto this mine, which will give us +3 production and plus, I think it's 0.3 culture, 0.3 science. Could be wrong about that, could depend on the speed, but a little bit of each. So that's better than just getting in this one city. If we put in urban planning, we get +1. But since if we put in housing, we would get, not immediately, but very quickly, we would get +3 production, plus a little bit of culture and science. So that's obviously much better. The thing is, it's only in this city. So we either get +3 production here, plus smaller other yields, or we get +1 production in each of these cities. And so, I mean, overall, like, I guess that does make it better than urban planning, because the overall effect is greater. But it's actually frequent. Let me say two things. Frequently, you're not going to have 2 districts up in your capital that fast. It kind of depends what you're doing. Usually, you're expanding much more. You're going to pump a ton of builders. So most games, you're going to have like 5 cities that you can just settle. So you're going to pump a bunch of settlers, a bunch of builders. You're not going to have this much food in your capital. And the other thing is, it kind of, so this gets quote-unquote upgraded, I believe, at Medieval Fairs, which is very soon after. So it will affect, so it gets +2 housing, which is better, but they need 3 districts. And the problem is, like, okay, we don't have 2 districts in our expansions right now. We might get there just in a little bit, but by that point we're gonna hit this. So then that goes up. This goes obsolete, and they're gonna need 3 districts. So they still can't take advantage of that of the policy. So it like stays out of reach of your expansions. That said, if you have even like maybe a third or more of your cities, it's probably the number. So we do have 3 cities. So if a third or more of your cities have enough districts for the housing policy, it is better. So I think we will go ahead and put that on. But I want to say, though, if you're newer to the game and you don't really pay that close attention to things like housing, you know, you kind of do what this little face tells you, the advisor. Your default, if you're like, I don't know what the hell I want, just throw on urban planning. Production's always nice. It's a very small amount, but I mean, obviously it scales per number of cities you have. If you're a little more advanced and you understand what I was just talking about, go with housing. But pay attention, right? So this housing, it's taking us quite a while to make this decision, which is fine. That's what Civ's all about. So this housing will grow the city, and we'll get one more pop pretty fast. And that can either get us one production, along with 0.3 and 0.3. I might be saying that wrong. I'm just going to keep saying it that way. Plus 3 from population with 10 population. So it is 3 population equal 1 culture. Okay, and science is more. So 3 population is 1 culture. And it looks like 3 population is 2 science, maybe? Because we're getting 7 science from 10 cities. Okay, so we're going to go with that. So 1 pop is 1/3 of a culture and 2/3 of science. That's a bit tricky to do math with, but so we get 1/3 of culture. If we gain 1 city population right now, we can get 1/3 of a culture, 2/3 of a science, 1 production, and closer to our next district. So let's just say we have 3 yields from that: 1/3 of a culture, 2/3 of a science, 1 production. Is that better than 3 production? No, it's not. But we're gonna put a mine here, so then we get 3 production plus those 2 yields, plus closer to our next district. The other thing is you can do stuff like work campuses. So we could alternatively get 2 science out of that. Maybe. I will say right now, when it comes to specialists, unlike in Civ 5, they're kind of definitely a big luxury. They don't give you great people points. That's really important to know. So you don't actually... You don't actually want to work specialist slots until you're pretty full. Because, you know, plus 2 science is nice, but it's not a core yield. Core yields are food and production, and they always are the most important. Anyway, that was the longest policy choice in history. So let's get a move on, shall we? Johnny Appleseed. And I want to pay attention to, so this currently has 8 housing. We'll see when it finishes the theater district if it goes up to 9. When you have forest and it's not next to a river, 9 times out of 10 you want to chop that out. Maybe even 10 times out of 10. Because the thing is, a mine... So Lumberville versus mine, right? Mine's a... The thing is about this, right, is that techs boost the output of mines or lumber mills. So apprenticeship boosts mines. Please don't die. Apprenticeship boosts mines, for example. And let's see about lumber mills. Steel boosts lumber mills. So it does slightly depend on where you are on the tech tree. But for the most part, one mine is equal to a river lumber mill. For example, right now, that is the case. So if there's a river, a flat river, it doesn't even matter if it's flat. If it's on a river and there's a forest, put a lumber mill there, it'll be equal to a mine anywhere. That's all I'm going to say. And if this was a hill, so what if you're making a decision, right? There's a forest on a hill next to a river, hypothetically. Put a lumber mill there, because it'll have 1 more production in the mine. if you chopped it out and then built a mine there, it would have one less production. A lot of players really love chopping, so they might say, just build the mine, lose that one per turn production long term to get the boost. And I personally am more conservative. I like having that steady stream of +1. So I guess Geneva, is that a hill? Hello? Oh, so Geneva cannot shoot here, which is good to know. So we can actually do stuff like this. Take wax. And so fighting at this choke point is rather awkward, so we really would love to spread down this way. And we're going to need more ranged units. Probably just get some catapults at this point because we have the technology for it. Catapults aren't great. They're good for two things. Sitting quietly in your city for when you're being attacked, and for conquering other cities. But they're not necessarily that much better than having an archer or a crossbowman with the relevant promotion, like District Boy here. Has his defense against city attacks +10, quite a bit, as well as +7 when shooting the city itself, so that's already like a siege weapon in and of itself. I think China's music is my favorite. America's has some good ones too. Have some old like folk music. What are we gonna do with you, little friend? You know, at the beginning of this game I mentioned the Petra, but I don't know about that right now. One thing that's we could pay attention to, right? So every 2, there's certain kinds of improvements that give housing. They're kind of like the food improvements, basically, generally speaking, along with plantations. If it sounds like food or farmy related, it gives you housing. Whereas production doesn't. Mines don't give you housing. I guess the idea is like, yeah, a citizen could live in this farm, but it wouldn't live in a mine, unless it's a very sad citizen. So, these are giving us housing. Each one gives you 0.5. So 2 of these types of housing improvements will give you 1 housing. So we're getting 1 housing here, 1 housing there, and then we have 0.5 here. So if we built 1 more farm, we would get another whole housing, because the 0.5 doesn't apply in and of itself. You need to have 2 to get the +1. It doesn't. You don't get like +0.5. So we want to get the whole one. So we have 2 choices. We can try to get another housing here, or we could go and finish working on New Orleans. I'm kind of inclined to do that because we get a chop in and a mine, and production is just so good. Where are you going? That's a mistake. It's okay. Kind of worried about this scout right now. Thump. How much does he take? 30. Not so bad. As I said before, catapults aren't amazing. If you get them real fast, you can kind of rush them, and they can be very powerful. 35. If you can get 35 before your opponents ever get things like swordsmen, that's quite good. But then again, you might as well just have some nice archers. Archers are amazing units. Use them, and just get crossbows right afterwards. Kind of like Civ 5. In Civ 5, single player you should get siege units. Multiplayer, no one ever bothered. because of how good archers are.
In warfare, the more will be the need for engineers in the field armies. In the late war, there were never enough sappers at any time.
Wonderful quotation. Beautiful. So what are we working on now? Do I want a military engineer? I never build these. I feel like I should. Alright, got our second amphitheater up here. So how many rider points do we have right now? 5. So yeah, we were getting rolled by Congo and Russia. Hell, maybe we should attack Congo. Yeah, this is pretty rough. It's okay. Congo has better lands anyway. Did we declare friends? They're like our only semi-friend, is the sad thing. You know, I think we have to. We're really piling on the warmonger penalties this game. So I think we will make peace. Let's get this going. We'd love to creep closer and closer to rifling. I did mention Petra a long time ago. Thing is, we already built stuff on a desert, our desert tiles, and it does not boost floodplains. If it did, it would be a no-brainer. But we already have the Cedar District. We used this already, so we'd have 3 tiles. Maybe I should have been thinking about it earlier, but hell, maybe, was it built already? I didn't see a pop-up for it. It does tend to go before you can rush it, tragically. So we don't super need a monument right now, and we can build a second district, so that's usually what you want to do. I'm inclined to get an industrial zone, although I'm not sure where I'd put it. Don't really want to use our hill here. I might just throw it up in the industrial here. This will get influenced by the industrial zone we put up in Washington, so it doesn't quite need its own as much. So, alternatively, we either want a campus or a commercial hub. And we can get some nice science. +1 science at least here. And then we put a harbor here. It's a little tricky. We'd like to put a harbor here, actually. If we can get this tile. It's not super urgent, because I think we will be attacking... Maybe a encampment? Do we need more than one encampment? I'm not really inclined to build more than one encampment. Unless we get boosts for it. Something like build 2 armories. Which it doesn't seem like we need at any point. So... tricky decisions. We could try something like harbor. I use this symbol because it's like the only one left over. And then we could do harbor, and then I use this circle because it's like a coin for currency, for money. For a commercial district. Entertainment wouldn't be awful. Coliseum is quite a good wonder. Did it pop already? Coliseum. I think it did, I'm not sure if it shows up without having an entertainment complex built. And I don't recall it popping. Popping meaning the pop-up telling me that it was built already. Yeah. Would really like trade route. It's important. You get this boost. You're gonna have to rush if you want this boost ever, which is a nice one because it's a pretty important. spot along the tech tree, especially for getting artists fast as possible. You really want to rush trade routes because it's kind of hard to get 4 before you get medieval fairs. Because we're already there, and we only have 1. I'm not sure that's going to change anytime soon, or if that's ever going to happen. Well, we would need, like, commercial for 2, commercial for 3, and a commercial zone here. So I don't know if that's going to happen. This is not going to be a harbor, it's out of reach. In which case, we can stick this anywhere. We can more tightly cluster. Pardon me. So this is pretty nice. So this will get us whenever you cluster your districts together, it's always nice because they always get adjacency bonuses for being next to 2 total districts. So we put a commercial here, it'll get 2 adjacent, and then if we put our industrial here, which is fine because it's a desert hill anyway, not the most exciting kind of hill to work, it'll get +2 from these mines, and then a +3 because it's next to several districts. The only one that's not getting a double bonus is the campus, and that's okay. It was worth it to put it up by these mountains because it's getting +3 anyway. The question is, do I forego getting 4 trade routes? I'm kind of inclined to do that because it doesn't seem like we have so few cities. It's always the problem. Retainers, by the way, very good policy. The default, one of 2 possible default peacetime military policies is retainers. The other being maintenance. This one, conscription. Both are what you want to be running when you're at peace. Ah, yes, you, my little friend. So we're gonna like just see. These things are cursed, man. These little pins. We clicked something over here and it switched to this one. Anyway, we're gonna give up on getting 4 trade routes. So we can build whatever we want, which is probably a commercial hub. Anyway, even though I just said we weren't going to bother. The only reason to not build it here would be if we're going to stick and get +1 from having 2 crabs instead of 1 for a harbor. You can build harbors and lakes. I'm 90% sure you can. Lake, that's right. So you can build this great port just to travel 2 tiles. Don't build naval units here, is one thing I'll say. But the trade route in and of itself, and it gives little things like housing, it's not your biggest priority. Unless you're maybe England, because you get them half off. But the trade routes are always welcome. Trade routes are great. Trade routes are awesome. Anyway, so we want a district. We want a trade route. We don't have the harbor tech. How close are we? Not close. But which, I mean, very close. I'm like, we need the boosts. No, we don't. We only have 1 coastal resource, so that's another option. Hell, I'm going to go with that. Let's just throw up a harbor here. So 3 turns, and we can finish a monument. Although I'm kind of more inclined to finish the granary. Am I? Monuments and granaries, kind of a toss-up. So if you already have culture in the city, which we do, so it's getting 4.9, so it's growing tile borders at quite a nice rate already. And we're not like immediately needing to grow because we can already build another district. So it's kind of a toss-up, and so I just went with the monument. So I think we will try to peace out Germany. And attack Congo. I guess the other thing I could do, right, is build military units here. Thing is, the sad war is expensive, so you need trade routes to go to war because you need money. Because each of these units is, you know, crossbows are what, 2 maintenance per turn? 3. It's expensive. It really adds up over time. And you also need amenities. So in our case, since we have Buenos Aires as a suzerain, we have quite a few amenities. So we're okay. We don't need entertainment districts, but we do need money. So actually investing in trade routes and commercial zones is an investment in war for us right now, which is our #1 priority after getting these theater districts going. So we're going to peace out Germany. Give me all your stuff. Do not want your mercury. Take your spices. Jerk. We could take his mercury and sell ours. That's one thing you can do. You're welcome. Give him one of these. Try to keep tabs on him a little bit. You might want to buy our no, yeah, sugar. No mistake. And I think he does, this guy does too. Yeah. By the way, I woke up this morning and I decided I don't like you anymore. Because you're too good. And I'm envious of your glory. It'll be a shame to lose our expensive trade route to Congo. Made a slight mistake here. Meant to go ahead and quick tech medieval fairs. Hopefully we conquer some holy sites. And the reason I say that is because we're not getting any faith at all, which would normally really not matter. But Auckland, which normally would not matter. Wouldn't matter if we didn't have faith. But we want to buy national parks. And you can only buy those with faith. Because we're doing tourism, and because we have a bonus towards national parks. As Theodore Roosevelt. You sit tight, my friends. Sometimes the skip turn button disappears. For some reason. Why yes, I removed my troops from your border. But guess what? They're coming back. And this time, it's not such a friendly meeting. So in terms of our plan of attack, we're going to set up over here, declare a war, and then kind of see what comes at us, because we want to judge how hard this is going to be before we actually pressure into things that can bombard us. Yeah, we'll just finish civil service. Um, oh no, I lost my Buenos Aires probably. That's important. We really need to hold on to that one.
And all I ask
So we're
is
gonna
a tall
temporarily
ship and a the
grab a
taxpayer.
bit of gold. Nice Ronald Reagan quote right there. Bombards would not be so bad here. So we're totally beelining these military techs. So we're just gonna give up on getting 4 trade routes at this point. Harbor, please. +2. Oh yes, of course. I didn't even consider that it would get boosted from the theater district. How about you, Boston? We probably also want... Damn, a shame we can't put a harbor district here. It's okay, though. We'll just throw down a... Alright, we got our encampment. What do I want? Forts? Might not produce catapults until we get bombards. So until then, we have a little bit of a break. I guess we'll throw down some knights. Knights are really, really fantastic units. For the record, knights take iron and not horses for some reason. So even though we have no horses and we can't make horsemen, we can make knights. And that's because they're separate promotion trees. They're separate upgrade trees, I should say. Horsemen are light cavalry, and knights are heavy cavalry. Rough Riders are heavy, but the thing is, you can't upgrade into Rough Riders, which is kind of one of their disadvantages, honestly. Like, most of the time in Civ, you'll have a decent-sized army early in the game, and you kind of just, you promote them, and you upgrade them. So having to hard build Rough Riders after getting the tech is really frustrating, and I think they should change that. The other thing is, if you're like, a good strategy is to build, like, say for cavalry, build a bunch of super cheap horsemen, save up a bunch of gold, and as soon as you hit that cavalry tech, you upgrade them all. So then you just are using your gold as production. And the other an interesting aspect of that to know for multiplayer, that's what people do, because in multiplayer, it's really important to keep a tabs on your neighbor's military strength. It was in Civ 6, the way you do that is you go here to World Rankings, Domination Victory, and you can mouse over each Civ and see how strong their military strength is. So we are the weakest with 182 right now. Russia has 1,000. So good players will keep tabs on you if you're their neighbor. So if you have a bunch of horsemen, your overall military score will appear quite low. So they won't think of you as much of a threat. So they won't do stuff like build their own units and build walls and prepare for an attack. So what you can do is have all these horsemen ready to go. Then you hit cavalry tech and bam, upgrade them all. Your military score like skyrockets, and they weren't ready for that. So then you immediately have this big advanced army you can attack them with. That's always the best way to do it in multiplayer. And it kind of works in single player too. I mean, beelining attack and getting a nice big upgraded unit will really help you out. So, and getting it faster is always better. So we're gonna upgrade District Boy. Would like to get mercenaries. Possibly should have waited, but it's okay. So we have two. We can get this coffee. Do we need housing? Let's count here. We're getting one housing. So we need another builder to get. Well, we get another housing if we do two. So we're gonna do that. If we build half a housing for this plantation, half a housing for this fishing boat, we'll gain +1, so we'll be able to grow to size 7 fairly easily. Which in this case will gain us either 3 gold or a gold and a culture, plus a little bit of culture and science, and overall closer to our next district. That little flash, I believe, indicates a trade route finishing. Not entirely sure about that. Or a trading post being made, something like that. Trading posts are slightly confusing. Trading posts, me. No, it wasn't the trader. I'm not quite sure what it was. Maybe an envoy. So we have 2 envoys right now. So what we're going to want to do is swap out that policy and then get 4 for the price of 2 by doing Kabul, Auckland, or Seoul, or Amsterdam. Haven't quite decided which one yet. Kabul could be a good option. Because and Seoul as well. Seoul is, if you get this real at the beginning of the game, it's good. Otherwise, it can be fairly useless. Because you're gonna get most, if you're playing well and you know the game, you're gonna get most of the boosts in the game. And you're playing on anything slower than online speed. Let's get some troops over here in New Orleans. I think we'll just use this guy to get one more housing in Washington. So it won't kick in until next turn. Maybe it shows up here already. Oh, 12. I'll see. Maybe I did the calculation wrong. Wouldn't be surprised if Frederick denounced us fairly soon. That's a lot of factors. I am not controlling city-states. Most important units you can ever build are ranged units. Bolshoi is a nice wonder for cultural victory. It's kind of generic. It's very far away as well. We are super gimped to this game. Very sad. There are several of these kind of generic tourism wonders. Just it gives civics. That's cool. Just gives a bunch of points for those units. So does like Hermitage. So does Broadway. Nothing. They aren't quite as like creative, I guess is the word, as Civ 5. Like Eiffel Tower in Civ 5 was funky. Gave you like happiness and raw tourism, whereas Broadway gave you music slots. I think there's one or two in the tech tree as well. That's a real nice building. That might be our saving grace someday. For the most part, like, culture wonders are restricted to the cultural civics tree, which is really good. It's a nice change from Civ 5, because Civ 5, a cultural victory was like a science victory where you also got really lucky and didn't build troops. Like, because you needed science to get to the stuff to get tourism. Whereas here you can really, really just go tourism, culture, and it will give you those relevant boosts for doing that because it's in the culture tree. Let's post up here. We'll wait for our units to be healed, so we should get a housing here. 7. So I was right. So now we have 13 here. Perhaps a campus there. That's what we need. So I suppose the vague plan is sweep in from the left here. I really wish he had settled like one tile further south. We may, in fact, that would be so much better. Because then we get decent district placement, desert for districts, that's fine. It would get this sugar, it would get these cattle, and it would squeeze Congo, Mabanza Congo, slightly less. Which are all good things. We have our premier melee unit, this scout, with his plus 20 combat strength, thanks to our oligarchy bonus. This is definitely adding up quite a bit. So one more turn. I'm curious exactly how many turns it is on quick speed. Hello. It's interesting, you'll see the units are styled according to their civ. So all crossbowmen do not look the same. Ours are like white dudes. These are Congolese, so they have darker skin and different uniforms, slightly different uniforms. Stuff like that, it's quite cool. I think they really did a phenomenal job with the art style of this game. And that's the thing, that's the thing, like, technically good graphics are nice, right? Which this game does have, for the record. This is on a fairly low setting, but the actual like polygon counts for everything are quite high, and everything is really beautifully rendered. Not in a realistic style, but that's the thing. Like when you go for a more creative, artistic style, it ages far better. And my favorite example of that is Warcraft 3, which I'm not sure which you may or may not have played. Phenomenal game, still in my opinion, like probably the best RTS ever made. I mean, you could pick it up right now and just have a great time with it. It's very deep, very well made, has RPG elements, very creative, and it's from 2003. But the funny thing is like the art style holds up so well because it's so beautifully made. It's so creative. The colors, the style, the art of it, as opposed to the raw technical power of the graphics, is phenomenal. And that's why it holds up really, really well. We might want musket men, but eh. We might just upgrade this guy. So it says one more turn. Is this going one per turn? I'm slightly confused. Because I don't think that's supposed to happen. So it's 48. We do one more turn. Uh-oh. What does it mean, buddy? So we hit a new era.
Animal. Glories in gunpowder and loves parades.
So every new era you enter, the warmonger penalty goes up. So maybe we should have declared war. It was not paying close attention to that factor. Please get me bombards. We want units, but the only units we want, I suppose, our battering ram would be nice. Battering ram. Let's just do it. That or bombards. Ooh, you make it too easy, Congo. The world will hate us.
Über Vorsichtigkeit sie gelobet. Zu helfen diesem Reich hieße tanzen mit dem Tode.
Don't really know what you're talking about, buddy. Did we lose a suzerain or lose a bonus? Doesn't seem like Congo's allied with anybody. Oh no, they seem to be pleased because, yeah. So we actually really need this. So I lied about switching our policy. Oh no.
Ich verstoре meine Feinde.
Yeah. Screw you, buddy. It would be nice if we had one friend. Probably not gonna happen. So we would actually love to use this scout. How much does he get from that? 6. It's like 1 per turning. That does not seem normal, so I think that's not quite right. So it's supposed to be 5 turns on standard speed, so quick speed is 33% faster. I misspoke about this earlier, the last time we talked about it slightly. So it should be 1% every 3 turns? So it's 1% every turn. That does not seem healthy. Well, it's good for us. So this guy, Boy Scout, finally getting upgraded too. Ambush. I meant to check what was after ambush because I'm not even sure. So now we have another 30 strength unit. It's still like psychologically this is like scary for me to like venture out with a scout, even though he's very strong. This is fairly well fortified. If this guy dies, it'll be like, well, this experiment failed. Not too surprised about that. So let's see. So we got severe was the penalty. Severe gives you, I hear Shing, 18. This gives you 16, I think, because he already was at -2. And that's, yep, that scout. That was very sad. That was very dumb. I like worked so hard for it, and I was just like, will he live here? And the answer was no. Ay, ay, ay. My poor little scout. What do we want to do with you? You can go hide in the capital. So we're going to swap out this, not conscription. We'll leave conscription. That's what I should say. Guess we might as well kill this. It would be cool if his little portrait changed or something when he got that upgrade. Oh yeah, and they're like they're kind of like horsemen. They can run away afterwards. At least I think horsemen can. I can't quite remember. Civ 5 cavalry could run away after attacking. Not sure. I can't remember if that's actually true in this game. I guess we'll go with Geneva. Yay, we have faith. It's a miracle. Yeah, there's a cannon. Just hold your shield up against it. That's fine. So our goal is to go kind of this way. I have a feeling this scout is going to get one shot. But we'll see. Could upgrade that swordsman as well. One strategy I advise is sending your at least one cavalry unit on sort of like a pillage fest. Preferably a light cavalry. But so they'll concentrate their troops where the fighting is, obviously. So what you can do is just send a cavalry unit like roaming through here pillaging stuff. So you can really hinder your opponent.
There are very honest people.
Get some nice little bonuses. And they can't really stop you a lot of the time. As long as you have a strong enough unit so it doesn't get bombarded to death by the cities. So we already lost our housing bonus here. which is rather sad. How many nights is enough nights? The thing about this game is you can never really have enough. Might try an engineer. Did my knight... No. Why did this encampment shoot? Am I going crazy? So we really want two things. Humanism and Merchant Republic. And I actually think we're going to grab Humanism first because Merchant Republic is amazing, but we're really loving these, like, this legacy bonus, like 1% per turning for us. Alright, so now you can throw up your campus. That's good. +4. That's 4 mountains. Very nice. You want 1 battering ram usually. And, you know, I'm not quite sure if it expires. I haven't quite looked into that. But the thing is, you can't build them after a certain point in the game, and I wonder if at that certain point it becomes built in. If that makes sense. I'm not sure though. I really don't know. It's hard. You can't tell simply by looking at the screen when you're going to attack. It doesn't show up. The bonus for battering rams doesn't seem to show up clearly there, as far as I can tell. Anyway, meritocracy is very strong. So what will we get? +2 housing would give us a science, but another district later. Science, 2/3 of a culture. More than a science, actually. 2/3 of a culture. About 1 and 1. As well as 2 production, 3 production, another science. It's not bad. The alternative is 7 or so culture, which is quite good. I kind of want culture right now just because we're trying to get some important civics. Like Merchant Republic and Humanism. Hello, frogs and friends. You please don't die. Please promote. Can he get shot? Yeah, he can. So bad. Although, he could retreat. I forgot. .43 shooting a 48 did 33 damage. Is vaguely how you want to understand that. It's not an atrocious offer, and I don't think... Although we don't need this. So... And he's not much of a threat. So, we don't really mind helping him. Knights, okay. So this game right now, is garbage. We're doing garbage because we only have 3 cities. Is pretty much the reason. If we pull this off, which I'm hoping we will, depends how thrifty we are with our units and whether stuff like this happens. So we still took an enormous amount of damage. If we actually get bombards going, we'll be able to siege. The thing is that fast enough? So funny how he took that much damage. So he should be 35? They're 50. Why is he gonna... Oh, because he got hurt. 35 versus 50, I guess. Taking a lot of damage? That's 15, so... That does make sense, I suppose. Just seems like a lot. I keep having flashbacks to impies every time I see these. They're not quite as good as impies. They are pretty cool units, though. Very cool unit model. They have those big impy shields. So this dude is taking a ton of damage from that encampment. So we can swarm it. We can try swarming it once we clear up a few more units here. But we're probably gonna have to wait for bombards to actually take cities, which is okay. We can fight till then. We are so behind, guys. This is even worse than usual on Deity. You shouldn't really panic. You're probably like, wow, you're like 3 eras behind. That's like surprisingly common on Deity. It depends. This is overall a pretty, as I said, a pretty weak start, kind of because of our layout here. I really don't feel like I've made bad decisions. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be building theater districts, but I want to use my civs bonuses, so I feel obligated to. Maybe I should have gone to war earlier. It all comes down to how fast you can take Congo and then put a dent in someone like Russia or Spain. So let's just get that kill on the little army there. Even though we have to delay our promotion for it, that's okay. So we're building this. Can we even build forts? Damn. It might be a mistake. I honestly built that without exactly knowing what I wanted to do with it. Which is of course not ideal in Civ. I believe it will come in handy, I'm just not sure how soon it will come in handy. Whew. Barely came out of that one, eh? Now the question is, will the scout live? I was just letting him sit there and tank it so we can get some XP. which is okay. An okay thing to do. Should promote that guy as soon as we can. Oh, you need a promotion as well. Damn it. Doesn't let you promote. Like, when you click Fortify, it ends their turn. Which I find a little frustrating, because it didn't do that in Civ 5. So if you made a slight mistake, you say, oh, whoops, I wanted him to move. And then it would fortify them at the end of the turn. All the ones you queued up to be fortified. Here it just, like, ends their turn. So if you say, oh, wait a minute, I wanted to move him, you can't. It's kind of silly. They really should just switch it back to what it was for Civ 5. So here we're on pop 12. So we really should have stopped focusing food, so that was a mistake. Don't know what that flash was. Envoy? I guess it's an envoy. I didn't know it flashed your city like that. I really don't see the point of that. It's like the envoy is here. It doesn't matter where the envoy is. So let's see. 2 builds. He can build roads. I'm pretty sure that's all he can do for us right now. We want another knights. I guess we'll queue up a catapult. So if you start putting a production in a catapult, here's the thing. Start the catapult. It takes 3 turns, so we're not going to finish it. So we'll put some production into that. Then catapults will go obsolete once you get bombard tech. But the production towards the catapult will be automatically put towards a bombard. So it doesn't disappear. This was the spot of death earlier. May have just killed this guy. It's okay. Probably want to pick range defense there. The AI tends to not very consistently fortify. So it's not like, oh, you know there's going to be a fortified unit there, so you can take advantage of that. Like, you're almost never going to see a fortified defender. I like how he builds another settler after I just stole this one. So in that case, he only took 1 shot. So I wonder why the heck this thing's glitching out and not shooting. Who knows? I can't really complain at this point. Coffee for diamonds? Probably not a good trade in real life, because coffee is obviously vastly superior to diamonds.
And first, Hephaestus.
Plus 10 is good. So now we have 2, like, what I would just call siege crossbows. And 1 here. And 1 here. Mr. Pew Pew still alive? Right. Later. That was a big mistake. An irritating mistake. Don't think anyone has any. Well, they must, right? Cool. please, for the love of God. Ah, that's rough. That's real rough. That was a big, fat, stupid mistake. On the other hand, we could try to rush ballistics. That's what we have to do. We need to get some niter. I didn't even think of that. One reason I didn't think of that is because A, catapults don't require any special resources, so you kind of forget that for your siege promotions, for your siege tree, you're going to need resources. The other thing is, Civ 5, they did not need resources. But we shall persevere. So why did I build this thing? But we need crossbows instead is what we need. It's definitely doable with crossbows. It's just kind of, you need more of them. Wow. What can I say? 30 base strength, 30 strength, plus 5 for being Teddy, plus grass, plus a woods hill. Can't take one shot. That, I'm kind of wondering if it's glitched. Because how could it die in one shot against a 43 strength attack? Doesn't make any sense. There's good old Oxford. Hello. One thing we can do is run around with knights quite effectively. And then slow siege in the meantime. Would love a different government at this point. Hell, I should really build units here after this campus finishes. Ruhr Valley, one of the best wonders in the game. Absolutely. Huge production boost. Production is so important. So you're building Oxford, but it's just a skeleton at this point. Congo's about to finish that thing. It was funny in Civ 5 how Oxford University in Civ 5 Oxford University was something that every Civ could build, which obviously was a bit of a mistake. I'm wondering if they meant it to be a world wonder originally. Something like that. That was a mistake. You meant to go this way. Totally spaced out there. We're gonna bring this guy in and then bring this guy in and then start taking shots. I don't even know. Like, is he not getting shot? Why isn't this shooting it? Can it not shoot it? Who knows? It just doesn't seem to be shooting this tile in particular. For whatever reason. Sadly, you cannot pillage Chichen Itza. So the question is, Will he die in one hit? And we want to find that out the easy way or the hard way. I at least wanted to be fully healed before we experiment with like tanking city shots. Overall, city shots are far weaker than they were in Civ 5. But they can still apparently erase promoted scouts, which I'm kind of confused over. I'm wondering if it glitched and didn't kick in. Yeah, the swordsman took 33, which is a lot. And it would have been a 50 strength unit. Then I guess a 35 strength unit would take 100? Yeah, not quite. Doesn't quite add up. Anyway, get the fuck out of here. So this thing is not fighting back, which is very intriguing. And very useful for our purposes. So you need to move. You are my last scout. After all my freaking effort to get you. Not sure if battering rams apply to encampments. It says city when you build one, I believe. When adjacent to a city, it does better damage to walls. It's still possible it affects non-walls, affects encampments, because they technically have walls as well, although they don't show up. That's what this blue bar means. Fortification.
The four characteristics of humanism are curiosity.
Artist fights? Is it less contested? Not really. Please give me a grade rider. Two caravels? Probably not gonna happen. We may just give up on envoys briefly. Get 2 slots here. But we're not really building wonders, so screw it. Yeah, I may have just sentenced this guy to die. Because you can't move after attacking. Yeah, you really can't. So we'll see if he lives. He's got about 55 strength going for him. I got a little sloppy there. Because he'll take a bunch here. Maybe this crossbowman will shoot the scout. That's a lot of stuff, and I appreciate it. But what we need is cities, or we're screwed. Royally screwed. I mean, we're already pretty hardcore screwed. And the faster the game speed, the harder it is to come back, so... Yeah, we'll see how this goes. We'll see. We'll see. If we win this war, it would really change our prospects.
If it's natural to kill.
Oh, I like that quote. Wish I'd stayed there. Oh well. If you've played the game, I'm sure you've heard all the quotes a million times anyway. Okay, so... Kind of, because he didn't feel like killing us. Route is good. Archaeologists actually are quite strong. Because you don't compete based on great people points, you compete based on producing units. So it can really help. It can make it like more fair when you're behind like this. In fact, we're just gonna get all that going. I tend to prefer archaeology museums. I want to have enough units to just go all in. I think I have enough crossbowmen. I would like more knights, but I suppose I can squeeze in the building here. I feel a little silly because under most circumstances, I won't even bother with this stuff, man. Like 11 for Russia. Congo's got 13 artist points. It's like, what's the point of competing, right? The thing is, but because we're Teddy, like, it's our thing to get tourism. And it could still pay off later. One thing is you really, really spoil someone else's, like, runaway if you actually compete with them. So if we rolled over and didn't build any theater districts, we'd have very low culture, and we wouldn't be able to get any great people, great work people. So then the other civs would have like monopoly on them. A, and B, we'd have such low culture that they'd be able to roll over us easily with tourism. Because if you didn't know, tourism victory is based on the winning civs tourism output compared to other civs cultural output. So if you have culture, it's like your defense against tourism. To my knowledge, it doesn't have any other effect in this game other than... Ooh, that is a deadly unit. That is very sad. And that's that. So I'm thinking here. The thing is, at this point, I mean, it's over. That is real sad. Because now we can't even efficiently get into Congo because they're just so far ahead in science. And here's the thing, I mean, if you take this as a whole, it seems like a pretty terrible game, and it was a terrible game. However, the thing is, I did mostly what I could. And I'm trying to reflect on exactly what went wrong here. And I think my mistake was not going to war and conquering cities earlier on. What did I do instead? So we're doing a sort of a post-mortem right now. One thing I will say, the faster the speed, the harder Deity is. and I've actually never even played Quick before, so that kind of definitely threw me off here. And the reason being is military is the great equalizer when you're on Deity. As you can see, having conquered no cities pretty much put us in a position to lose very early on. The reason Quick is harder is because the one thing, so everything's faster in Quick speed except combat units walking and fighting. So it takes the same amount of time to walk to a city, conquer it, get to the next one, etc., as any other marathon, as any other speed. But the thing is, in the meantime, these units are going obsolete. You're falling further and further behind in the trees if you're already behind. The game just ends quicker. Every civ gets to their wonders faster, gets to the victory conditions faster. So you have less time to like make up for your massive deficit versus the AI, because you have less time to conquer stuff before like they reach thresholds that you need to reach to, and they reach victory conditions. So Quick is hard. Quick is very hard. Quick is like the hardest you can do it on. I guess online speed. I've never tried that in single player. But doing sort of a like an autopsy of this game, I hope you still found this sort of informative, and I can talk about why this went so horribly wrong. And in fact, I mean, it popped into my head a few times. Like, if I had this start and I wasn't recording it, I probably would have quit a while ago. Just because that's the thing, you really need everything to go right for you. If you're doing something like doing something ballsy like a Tours of Victory. And the thing is, like, I didn't really play poorly so much as a lot of things went against us. We didn't have an easily conquerable neighbor with good land. So if we had wide open space like here, if this was wide open, there were no mountains in the way, and these were good cities, we could have beat them down early on. Could have conquered some territory. That would have been real nice. Congo had all this forest and terrain in the way. They have a unique unit, which I guess they didn't really use that much of pretty early on. Yeah, we have our continent bonus, which I was trying to take advantage of. But it's not like godly in and of it on its own. It's only 5. But anyway, like, so the number one reason we lost is we don't have enough cities. It's really that simple. We have 3. That is pathetic. I said earlier that to realistically win Deity, you probably need about 9 cities. Is a rough number. And I have beaten Deity several times, so it usually goes better than this. This just happened to be how it played out. And the reason you need lots of cities is it's not Civ 5 anymore. There's no percentage bonuses for stacking things in one city. There's no tradition tree to help you out. There's no national wonders. There's no penalties for settling more cities. So, like, when you're competing for things like Great Writers, it's a simple matter of how many points do you have, Great Writer points do you have, and the number of Great Writer points you have depends on how many theater districts you have. So when you have 3 compared to, like, 9, which is what I was saying you need, that's obviously going to hinder you. But yeah, basically your number one priority, so I'm actually, the big thing I want to talk about, the last thing is, like, could I have won this game? And I'm inclined to say there's no way I could have pursued tourism and won this game with the situation we started with. Not 0%, a small percent. What I would have had to done, what would I have done differently, right? Is I wouldn't have just forgone theater districts. Would have probably conquered Germany instead of making peace with them. So at this point we might have more cities. Basically, I would have thrown everything out the window except for getting more land. I think that's probably the number one tip I can give you for a single player Deity, is if you have anything fewer than, if you settle like 5 or 6 cities, you can kind of delay conquest, but sooner or later, and it's better be sooner. Sooner is always the way to go. You're going to need 9 cities. Pretty much no matter what strategy you're doing. Domination, obviously, you're going to want every capital. As many cities as you can. Hell, you always want as many cities as you can get. If you have an army, if you invested in an army, that costs you hammers, that costs you gold, you better use it. It's the only tool you have that is like astronomically better than what the AI can throw at you. You're always going to be a better military commander than the AI in Civ 6 as it currently stands. Hell, I've tried peaceful games where I've gotten like 6 cities. Just spammed like science and culture, and you just still fall way the hell behind if you don't take a bite out of the AIs with your military. If you go on YouTube and you type like Civ 6 Deity gameplay, every single one is conquest. I have yet to find a single player who's done something like a peaceful cultural victory, peaceful religious victory, where they literally conquer no cities. That just doesn't seem to happen in Civ 6 as it currently stands, because military is so strong and your other aspects of your empire are so weak compared to the AI. I have won a religious victory as Gandhi, only conquering 2 cities. I had a total of, I believe, 7 or 8 cities. 7 maybe. And it was a small map, which is easier than standard, of course. Fewer opponents means easier game. But even in that game, I used my Varu elephants to conquer 2 of Rome cities after he attacked me. So I did do some conquering there too, even as a relatively small religious victory. Anyway, I hope if you watched this the whole way through, whoever you are out there, that you found it helpful. Because I did share quite a bit about my decision making, and overall I feel like I made decent decisions. It just really the world conspired against us here. Quick speed is very difficult if you don't get a very hot start with your military. Building theater districts gained us virtually nothing. I mean, it got us slightly sooner towards medieval fairs or feudalism, maybe. But overall, that was putting eggs in a basket for getting a cultural victory way later. And so that didn't help us in the short term at all. Could have maybe built military units, could have hurt Congo before they got this far ahead. Could have maybe just continued rolling over Germany. Got a little arrogant there. Our scout strategy didn't pay off. I'm wondering if there's a glitch. There might be. I still think it's a good idea on slower difficulty speeds. But yeah, hopefully you found this useful. Moral of the day is you need more than 3 cities. You need more than 3 cities. You need 9 cities. Magic number 9. It's a good beer and it's a good advice in Civ 6. I'll definitely be wanting some revenge. So I'm going to be doing some more Teddy Roosevelt Deity gameplay. Looking for that victory. Because I know it's within reach. And hopefully that goes better than this game did. Anyway. Stupid AT crew ruining the day. So, hopefully you learned something. Stay tuned for more. I will be uploading more victories, is the plan. But I just want to get one out there for the world to see, I guess. Hopefully this was informative, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the future.